The World Health Assembly in 1980 declared that smallpox had been eradicated and was no longer a medical threat. Most credit Dr. Edward Jenner for developing the process of smallpox inoculation. Sadly, history has ignored the contributions of an African slave, Onesimus, brought to Boston in the early days of the 1700s. Today, February the 5th, 2024, Lyles Station Historic School and Museum recognizes the contribution of Onesimus, who shared a traditional African practice of variolation. Smallpox is known to have killed the Egyptian pharaohs and devastated the Native American Indians. Smallpox plagued the world with at least a 30% mortality rate through the centuries. In the 20th century, smallpox claimed almost 500 million people, with death usually occurring approximately 2 weeks after infection. Enslaved Africans were imported to Massachusetts in the early 1600s, and by 1700, the population of enslaved Africans comprised at least 1,000 in a town with a total population of just 6,500. Smallpox also entered Boston on those slave ships, with the 1703 smallpox epidemic causing many deaths. In 1721, the HMS Seahorse, sailing from Barbados, entered Boston Harbor with crew members infected with smallpox, which they spread into Boston. In 1706, the Old North Church gifted an African slave to New England Puritan minister Cotton Mather, who promptly named him Onesimus, meaning useful, helpful, or profitable, after a slave mentioned in the New Testament. Ship records indicate that Onesimus, probably a member of the Akan ethnic group in Ghana, was transported to Boston from the Windward and Rice Coast in 1704. Mather considered Onesimus to be exceptional among his peers and provided him with instruction in reading and writing. On one occasion, Mather inquired if he had ever contracted smallpox, with Onesimus's answer confusing him, saying, "Yes and no." Onesimus explained that his mother had pricked his skin when he was younger, inserting a small amount of smallpox pus under his flesh, a process called variolation. He developed a mild case of smallpox, but along with that developed immunity. When smallpox threatened the Boston community in 1721, Mather shared this information with Dr. Zabdiel Boylston, who performed smallpox variolation on his slave's sons, and his own son. All 3 recovered. However, the rest of the city's doctors did not embrace this new medical procedure and resorted to violence to stop it. While Dr. Boylston was able to inoculate 286 patients with a 98% survival rate, preventing them from contracting smallpox, over 6,000 smallpox cases were reported out of a population of 11,000. Of those, 850 died. While history records the efforts of Dr. Boylston, little is known about Onesimus. We do know that in 1716, he purchased his freedom from a reluctant Mather after Onesimus met his demands, the first being that Onesimus purchase another slave to take his place. Mather then required him to sign a contract agreeing to return to the Mather household every day without pay to perform household chores. Additionally, he had to compensate Mather for the time he had spent outside of the household earning money to purchase his partial freedom, £5. Despite being classified as free, Onesimus and the other freedmen in Boston were required to work on the road and highway repairs, along with other physical labor deemed necessary by the city's leaders. City records detail that in 1783, he was drafted for 2 days of work by the city of Boston, along with 5 other freed men. We do know that Onesimus maintained his own independent household, which he supported through his own wages, and that he had married and had 2 children, both of whom died before they were 10. Despite his contributions to combating smallpox, history principally ignored him. In 1796, Dr. Edward Jenner, deemed the father of immunology, was credited with inventing the smallpox vaccine, saving more lives than any other man. In the 2016 Boston Magazine survey, Onesimus was declared number 52 on a list of the 100 best Bostonians of all time, along with such historical figures as John F. Kennedy, Alexander Graham Bell, Clara Barton, and John and Abigail Adams. After 2 centuries, it was time he received the recognition.